revolutionizing the way people treat people in business. The Experience Pros, America's home for positive business talk.
This is America's home for positive business talk. Gary Barnes sitting in for Angel
in the house.
I'm so glad that you are here, my friend. And you know she's having a tropical smoothie.
Oh, I know.
She's headed to the Bahamas, brother.
I can see it now. I mean, I know she's thinking about it, so I just know this. Yeah, no, not.
Don't quit your day job, but if you want to go into stand-up comedy, it actually might work for you. Listen, Aviva Wolmer wrote an article, and the headline will probably take half of this segment, but I'm going to give it a shot, and then I'm going to boil it down and say it the way that I say it.
Okay.
The headline of the article is 5 things about your brand sales team must sell if you expect anybody to buy your product. Did you understand that?
No.
Okay, good deal.
No.
Then let me boil it down.
I heard blah, blah, blah,
yes,
blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Product.
Here it is in Experience Pros Ease. What you need to sell in order to sell. All right. So let's break this down. There are some things you need to sell in order to sell. And the first one is your story.
It matters.
Tell your story. Sell me on your story. Give me the why I should do business with you.
You know, and that's really in anything as a professional speaker, what people want is stories. In fact, that's how people learn. That's how they relate.
Yes.
And if we don't translate the thing, whatever we want them to engage in a story, they're not even going to know that it has any relevance to them.
You know, and more even than that, is the reputation that you have must be, that story must be told and sold. And Gary, I'm reminded of something you said earlier in the program, something we've talked about a couple of different times, and that is the value of stage time at one of your Breakthrough Business Mastery boot camps. And any, value, if you've got a stage and an audience, it is sacred ground. Doesn't matter what the size, doesn't matter any of that. But here's something that resonated with me as I sat there and I said, you got to sell your story, your reputation. I remember my mentor when I was first learning to become a public speaker. And I was in the ministry. And so I would get up and I would go to various churches around the country, around the world. And I would perform as an illusionist and a public speaker and a pastor all rolled up into one. And, my mentor said, and I will never forget, he says, listen, he asked me a question. How do you prepare a sermon? I said, well, that's easy. I pick a topic and then I go find the scripture to support it. And you can hear the 2x4 coming. He says, don't you know that's how 90% of all the cults get started? And I said, well, whoa. I'm not trying to start a cult. And he says, of course you're not. But that's the fact is you are operating under a false authority. The authority that says, hey, Pastor Joe says I'm okay because I'm standing in front of you. Therefore you must think I'm okay.
Right.
And it's a false authority. Instead, authority must be earned.
It's not a right.
Yeah.
It's a process.
That's right.
And, I think back when I first started my very first sermon and, when I was back in the minute, that was way back in the day. But, really we were taught to do what you just said.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it doesn't work.
It doesn't. You've got to earn the right to be heard.
Yep.
And your story is a big thing. So if you're going to sell in business, you need to sell your story first. Give me the why I should connect with you and be.
Well, the story also makes you interesting.
Of course.
Makes you different from it's like a snowflake. No story is duplicated with any other human being that's ever been on the planet.
Yep.
Use it.
Absolutely. The next thing is if, and again, what you need to sell in order to sell. If you're to be successful in the sales game, and I don't know any business that can afford to negate or neglect the sales game. I don't know the business that there's not a model that I'm aware of that doesn't require a transaction at one point or another.
Well, we also, including in relationships.
Absolutely.
I have to sell my wife every single day, and I've been doing it for 43 years.
And I've been single for 8 years, and
we're
tells me
working
about
on
my sales
we're
process. But your culture you've got to sell your culture, and your culture is as unique as that snowflake. Your culture is either positive or negative. Your culture is, and both are viable. We choose positive,
Right?
But I've seen the culture of the person who bashes. In fact, there's a guy on our radio airwaves, not here on our network, not on our network, but in the local market, whose whole business is tell me who did you wrong and I'll go get them for you.
Yep.
That's it. You don't get much more negative than that. But he has a space.
And one of the invisible cultures, and Shelley Rempe is my, travel person that I go to, and
Sure.
she they're in Nebraska. So they kind of do things differently in Nebraska. She said, when you deal with people and it's all about them, it's a road sign. It's one way.
Yeah.
And your culture will tell people if it's all about you or if it's symbiotic or, that nurturing, it's a safe place to be.
Absolutely. The next thing that you need to sell in order to sell effectively is your team. No man is an island, right? And in order to be successful in business, I believe that it's not me that you're looking at. It's me and the 250 people that stand behind me in support of what we're trying to do.
Well, and that's what you're doing with this shift with Experience Pros.
Yes.
It's about creating those teams that don't necessarily work for you. You're not paying them a paycheck.
Right.
They're doing it because they believe in you, your mission, your product, your service.
Absolutely. And we believe in each other's, which is what we're doing. Gary, you saw it. I'm about ready to, yesterday I welcomed 5 new members into the Facebook group. By the way, you're welcome to join us for free. If you're listening to this, and no matter where you are in the country, what we talk about is relevant to you and your small business. And if you want to join the team, simply just go. There's 2 ways. You can go to massivemediaexposure.com and get our report, a free report on how to get featured on radio. But even more so, that you're going to be invited to come into our Facebook group. And the group is called Experience Pros Network. If you go to Facebook, type in Experience Pros Network, you'll find the group. It's free to apply and free to join. And we're not going to bang you over the head. We will train you. We'll give you value on a daily basis, but we're not going to beat you and sell you. The next thing, your processes and your services. Those, of course, are very important. Everybody's got them. And finally, last but not least, the truth.
Truth.
You've got to sell the truth. If you are not genuine and authentic, you will be labeled a fraud and no one will do business with you.
Absolutely.
Gary Barnes, breakthroughbusinessmastery.com. Thanks for hanging out with me today, man.
I always have a blast.
Love having you in the studio. Love chatting it up with you. Folks, Lord willing, we're going to do this again tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.
America's home for positive business talk.